Sadguru Bhagavan.
Jaya Sadguru Bhagavan.
Satsang चन्दममेच्छया कद्योतं परशम्भवं तु चरणं दीपाङ्कुरग्राहिणां प्रत्यक्षाक्षरविग्रहं गुरुपरं ध्यायेत् विभुं शाश्वतम् मम चतुर्विधा पुरुषार्थसिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगा सुता उवाच कैलासशिखरे रम्ये भक्तिसन्धाननायकम् प्रणम्य पार्वती भक्त्या शङ्करं पायपृच्छति श्रीदेवी उवाच ॐ नमो देवदेवेश हर जगद्गुरो सदाशिव महादेव गुरुरीक्षं प्रदेहि मे क्षीरमार्गेण भो स्वामी देहि ब्रह्मं मयोदये त्वं कृपां कुरु मे स्वामी नमामि चरणौ तव ईश्वर उवाच मम रूपासि देवी त्वं त्वत्प्रीत्यर्थं वदाम्यहं लोकोपकारका प्रश्नो न केनापि कृता पुरा दुर्लभं कृष्णलोकेषु तत्क्षुरुष्वावदाम्यहं गुरुविना ब्रह्मणान्यात् सत्यं सत्यं वरानने वेदशास्त्रपुराणानि इतिहासादिकानि च मन्त्रयन्त्रादिविद्याश्च स्मृतिरुच्चातनारिकाम् शैवशाक्तागमादीनि अन्यानि विविधानि च अपभ्रंशकराणि जीवनं भ्रन्तते च साम् यज्ञो व्रतं तपोदानं जपस्तीर्थं च चैव च गुरुतपना गुरुबुद्ध्यात्मनोऽनन्यात् सत्यं सत्यं न संशयः कल्लवर्तं प्रयत्नस्तु कर्तव्यो हि मनीषिभिः गुरुविद्या जगन्माया देहे च ज्ञानसम्भवः उदयो य प्रकाशेन गुरुशब्देन कथ्यते सर्वपापविशुद्धात्मा श्रीगुरुपारसेवनात् देहि ब्रह्म भवेद्यस्मात् चक्रपार्थं वदामि ते गुरुपारं भुजं स्मृत्वा जलं शिरसि धारये सर्वतीर्थावगास्य सम्प्राप्नोति फलं नरात् शोषणं पापपङ्कस्य दीपनं ज्ञानतेजसां गुरुपरोरकं सम्यक् संसारानवतारकम् अज्ञानमूलहरणं जन्मकर्मनिवारणं ज्ञानवैराग्यसिद्ध्यर्थं गुरुपरोरकं पिबेत् गुरुपरोरकं पीत्वा गुरुरुच्छिष्टभोजनं गुरुमूर्ते सराध्यानं गुरुमन्त्रं सदा जपेत् काशीश्रेष्ठं तनिवासो जानवी चरणोदकं गुरुविश्वेश्वर साक्षात् तारकं ब्रह्मनिश्चितं गुरुपारोरकं यत् दायसोक्षयोगतः तीर्थराज प्रयागश्च गुरुमूर्ते नमो नमः गुरुमूर्तिं स्मरे नित्यं गुरुसमासराजपे sarvam parityajya gururanyan bhavaye ananyas chintayanto mam sulabam paramam param tasmat sarva prayanena gururaradhanam kuru Trilokes Mukhavataram Devadya Surapannaga Guru Vatra Sija Vidya Guru Bhaktya Tulabhyate Dukkarastvan Lakarascha Dukkarascha Uchate Ajnanagrasakam Brahma Gururevana Samshaya Dukkara Pratamo Varno Mayadi Guna Vasaka Dukkaro Dvitiyo Brahma Maya Branti Vinashana Evam Guru Param Shrishtam Devanam Api Durlabam Auru Ganeshcheva Dandaresha Papujyate Astitadvam Guru Param Asanam Shayanam Vastram Dushanam Vahanarikam Sadakena Pradatavyam Guru Santoshakarakam Guru Radhanam Karyam Swajivitvam Nivedaye Karmana Manasa Vacha Nityamaradhaye Guru Dirgadandam Namaskurtya Nilajo Guru Saniro Shariram Indriyam Prana Sadguru Vyonivedaye Atmadararikam Sarvam Sadguru Vyonivedaye Nikita Basma Vista Durgandi Malamutrakam Shleshmaraktam Chachamam Sam Vanchayena Varanane Samsara Vrukshamaruda Pantandu Narakarnave Yena Cheva Drita Sarve Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurudevo Maheshwara Gurureva Parabrahma Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Ekave Jagatameva Samsaranavasetave Prabhave Sarva Vidyanam Shambhave Gurave Namah Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnanajana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Tvam Pita Tvam Cha Me Mata Tvam Bandhushtam Cha Devata Samsara Pratibhurartam Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Yat Satyena Jagat Satyam Ya Prakarshena Bhatitat Yananandena Nandanti Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Yasya Stitya Satyamidam Ya Bhati Bhanurupata Priyam Putrariya Kritya Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Yena Chetaya Chehidam Chetam Chetaya Chenayam Jagrat Swapna Shashubhyari Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Yasya Dhyana Vishwam Nadrisham Bina Verata Sare Karu Parvaya Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Yasya Matam Tasya Macham Matam Yasya Navedasaha Ananya Bhava Bhavaya Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Yasya Karana Rupasya Karya Rupena Bhatya Karya Karana Rupaya Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Niram Sarva पापनिवारकं कारकं सर्वपापाभ्यः श्रीगुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम् शिवे कृते गुरुश्राता गुरुकृते शिवो नहि तस्मात् सर्वप्रयत्नेन श्रीगुरुं शरणं व्रजे हे गुरुपरद्वन्द्वं मनश्चित्तगोचरं श्वेतरक्तप्रभाविनां शिवशक्त्यात्मकं परम् दुःखरं च गुणातीतं दुःखरं रूपवर्जितं गुणातीतस्वरूपं च योरद्यात् स गुरुस्मृतः त्रिनेत्र सर्वसाक्षी अचतुर्बाहुरच्युतः अचतुर्वदनो ब्रह्मा श्रीगुरुकातिकाप्रिये अयमायञ्जलिर्बाधो दायसगारवृद्धये यदनुव्रतो जन्तु क्षिप्रसंसारमुक्तिभाक् श्रीगुरो परमं रूपं विवेकचक्षुषोमुतं मन्दभाग्यान् पश्यन्ति अन्धसूर्योदयं यथा श्रीनाथचरणाद्वन्द्वं यस्यं दिशि विराजते तस्य दिशे नमस्कुर्यात् भक्त्या प्रतिदिनं प्रिये तस्य दिशे सततमञ्जलेश आर्ये प्रक्षिप्यते मुखरितो मरुपेर्बुधेश्च जागर्ति यत्र भगवान् गुरुचक्रवर्ती विश्वोदय प्रणनात्तर नित्यसाक्षी श्रीनाथरि गुरुत्रयं गणपतिं नित्यत्रयं भैरवां सिद्धोगं बतुकत्रयं परयुगां धृतिक्रमं मण्डलाम् वीरान्ध्रशतसृष्टशास्त्रिनवकं वीरावली पञ्चकं श्रीमालिनी मन्त्रराजसहितं वन्दे गुरुं मण्डलाम् अव्यस्ते सकले सुदीर्घमनिलेर्यारि प्ररेर्दुष्करे प्राणायामशतेरनेककरणे दुःखात्मकेर्दुर्जये यस्मिन्नाविरिते विनाशति बले आयुस्वयं तत्क्षणात् प्राप्तुं तत्सहजं स्वभावमनिशां सेवात्ममित्तं गुरुं स्वदेशिकसेवा शरीरचित्तनं भवेदन तस्य शिवस्य चिन्तनं स्वदेशिकसेवा च नाम कीर्तनं भवेदन तस्य शिवस्य कीर्तनं यः पररेणुकणिका कापि संसारवारिते सेतुबन्धायते नाथं देशिकान्तामुपास्महे तस्मादनुग्रहं लब्ध्वा महारज्ञानमुत्सुजे तस्मै शिरे शिकेन्द्राय नमश्चाभीष्टसिद्धये पारजं सर्वसंसार दावनदाविनाशकं ब्रह्मरन्ध्रेसितं भोजा मध्यक्षं चन्द्रमण्डले अकतारितिरेकाब्जे सहस्रजालमण्डले हंसपश्वत्रिकोणे च स्मरेतन्मध्यगं गुरुं सकलभुवनसृष्टि कल्पितशेषपुष्टिर्निखिलानि गमादृष्टि सम्परं व्यर्थदृष्टि गुणपरिमर्ष्टि तत्परार्थिकदृष्टि भावगुणपरमेष्टि मोक्षमार्गैकदृष्टि सकलभुवनरङ्ग स्थपनस्तम्भयास्ति सकलनारसवृष्टि शिवाय च अजोऽहम् अजरोऽहं च अनधिनिधनः स्वयम् अविकारशिरानन्द अनियन्मतो महान् पूर्वाणां परं नित्यं स्वयं ज्योतिर्निरामयम् वीरजं परमाकाशं ध्रुवमानन्दमव्ययम् प्रत्यक्षमेतीयं मानुमानश्चतुष्टयम् यस्य च तपो वेदा देशिकं च सरस्मरे मनोरम्य भवं कार्यं तद्वरमि महामते सारुचं च मया दृष्ट्वा वैदिशाति सम्प्रताम् अखण्डमण्डलाकारं यत्तमेन चराचरं तत्परं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सर्वशुद्धिशिरोरत्नं विराजितापरं भुजा वेरन्थम्बुजसूर्यो यस् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण ज्ञानमुत्पद्यते स्वयं य एव सर्वसम्प्राप्तिः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमतीतं निरञ्जनं ज्ञानबिन्दुकलातीतं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्थावरं जगमं चैव तथा चैव चराचरं व्याप्तं येन जगत्सर्वं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानशक्तिसमारुदास् तद्वमलाविभूषिता मुक्तिप्रदातायास् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्ता सर्वकर्मविदायिने स्वात्मज्ञानप्रभावेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वं ज्ञानपरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः मनता श्रीजगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु मम सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानमूलं गुरुमूर्ति पूजमूलं गुरुपुराण मन्त्रमूलं गुरुवाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुकृपा गुरुरादिरनारीश्च गुरुपरं देवतां गुरुपरतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सागरपर्यन्तं तीर्थस्नानादिकं फलं गुरुरङ्घ्रिपयो बिन्दु सहस्रं शेन दुर्लभम् आरुरुष्टे गुरुश्राता गुरुरुष्टेन कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वात् प्रयत्नेन श्रीगुरुं शरणं व्रजे गुरुरेव जगत्सर्वं ब्रह्म विष्णु शिवात्मकं गुरुपरतरं नास्ति तस्मात् सम्पूजयेत् गुरुं ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं लभ्यते गुरुभक्तिता गुरुपरतरं नास्ति ध्येयोऽसौ गुरुमार्गिभिः यस्मात् परतरं नास्ति नेति नेतीति वेष्टि मनसा वाचसा चैव नित्यमाराधयेत् गुरुं गुरुकृपा प्रसादेन ब्रह्म विष्णु सदाशिवा समर्था प्रभवादोच केवलं गुरुसेवया देवकी नरगन्धर्व पितरो यक्षचारणा मुनयो दर्शने विधिं महांकार गर्वेण बलन्विता संसार पुनरावर्ते दत्तयन्त्रे यथा गता अमुक्ता देव गन्धर्व पितरो यक्ष किन्नरा ऋषय सर्वसिद्धाश्च गुरुसेवा परन्मुखा ज्ञानं शृणु महादेवे सर्वानन्दप्रदायकां सर्वसौख्यकरं नित्यं भुक्तिमुक्तिविदायकां श्रीमत् परब्रह्म गुरुं स्मरामि श्रीमत् परब्रह्म गुरुं वरामि श्रीमत् परब्रह्म गुरुं नमामि श्रीमत् परब्रह्म गुरुं भजामि ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तद्ब्रह्मस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदि साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यघोरं चिदानन्दं गुरुब्रह्मणमम्यहम् तम्बुजे कर्णिकामध्य संस्थे सिंहासने संस्थित्य दिव्यमूर्तिं ध्यायेत् गुरुं चन्द्रकलाप्रकाशं श्रीपुस्तकभीष्टभरं धरणं श्वेतम्बरं श्वेतविलेपपुष्पं मुक्ताविभूषमुदितं द्विनेत्रं वामकर्पित्य स्थित्य दिव्यशक्तिं मन्दस्मितं सन्दृतपाणिरानाम् आनन्दमानन्दकरं प्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपं निजबोधयुक्तं योगीन्द्रं नित्यं भवरोगवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुं नित्यमहं नमामि यस्मिन् सृष्टिस्थितिध्वंसा निग्रहानुग्रामकं नित्यं पञ्चवीरं शाश्वतं भासते तं नमाम्यहम् ततशिरसि शुक्लाब्जे दीने त्वं द्विभुजं गुरुं वरवरयुतं शान्तं स्मरेतं नाम पूर्वकम् न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं शिवशासनता 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 चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं मम शासनतो मम शासनतो मम शासनता एवं विदं गुरुं यात्वा ज्ञानमुपार्यते स्वयं तत्सद्गुरुप्रसादेन मुक्तमिति भावये गुरुदर्शितमार्गेण मनःशुद्धिं तु कारयेत् अनित्यं खण्डये सर्वं याकिचिन्तामगोचेय समं कुर्यान् अन्यपन्था द्वितीयका एवं श्रुत्वा महादेवीं गुरुनिन्दं करोति सायति नारकं घोरं यावचन्द्रादिवाकरो यावकल्पान्तको देवास् तावदेवा गुरुं स्मरेत् या स्वच्छन्दो यरिभागवे ओंकारेण न वक्तव्यं प्रज्ञेशेकतञ्चनं गुरुरग्रेण वक्तव्यम् असत्यं च कराचनं गुरुं संकृत्यं कृत्य गुरुं निर्जित्य भारतम् अरण्ये देशे Pati Parvati Ashaktaye Surabhyascha Ashakta Munaya Sata Guru Shakti Shayamyanti Na Samshaya Mantra Raja Miram Devi Guru Rityakshara Dvayam Smrti Verartha Vakyena Guru Sakshat Paramparam Shruti Smrti Adinyaya Kevalam Guru Sevaka Teve Sanyasina Prokta Itare Veshadarina Nityam Brahma Nirakaram Nirgunam Bhuraye Param Sarvam Brahma Nirabhasam Dipo Dipantaram Yata Guru Kripa Prasadena Amaram Nirikshaye Anena Guru Margena Swapmagyanam Pravartate Hariyantam Paramam Asvarupakam Stavaram Jagamam Shiva Pranamami Jaganmayam Vandeham Sachidanandam Viratitam Saragurum Nityam Purnam Nirakaram Nirgunam Swama Sansitam Paraparataram Vyayam Nityamanandakarakam Hridaya Kashamadhyastam Sudasvati Kasanibam Patika Pratimarupam Vrishate Darpane Yatham Tatamani Chirakaram Anandam Savanityatam Angushtamantra Purusham Dayakashimmayam Vridi Tatra Spurati Bhavoya Shurukam Katayam Yam Agocharam Tatagamyam Namarupa Vivartatam Janiyat Swabhavam Brahma Parvati Yataranda Swabhavena Karpura Kusumarishu Shitoshnari Swabhavena Tata Brahma Cha Shashvatam Swayam Tata Vido Bhutva Stattavyam Yatra Kutrachi Kita Brahma Ravatatra Jnanam Bhavati Tadrusham Guru Jnanam Tata Kritva Swayam Brahmam Mayo Bhave Kunde Pare Tata Rupe Mukta Sonatra Samshaya Shri Parvati Uvacha Pindam Kintu Mahadeva Param Kim Samudaratam Rupatitam Charupam Kim Vedadatyai Shankara Shri Mahadeva Uvacha Pindam Kundalini Shakti Paramam Samudaratam Rupam Bindurativyayam Rupatitam Niranjanam Pinde Mukta Pare Mukta Rupe Mukta Varanane Rupatite Tuye Muktas Sri Mukta Natra Samshayam Swayam Sarva Mayo Bhutva Param Tavam Vilokaye Para Para Taram Nanyat Sarvametan Niralayam Karam Prapya Sarvasanga Vivartita Ekake Nishprashantas Tishtateta Prasadata Ladam Vajana Ladam Va Sababa Bahulam Tata Nishkamereva Bhoktavyam Sada Santushtate Chasa Sarvagnya Paramitya Urdehi Sarvam Mayo Buddha Sarananda Sarashanto Ramate Yatra Putra तस्य लक्षणं देवी तव गृहातीतं मया उपदेशाश्च देवी गुरुमार्गेण मुक्तिदा गुरुभक्ति सतर्याणां सकलं तव कीर्तिताम् अनेनाय भवे कार्यम् अवरमि महामते लोकोपकारकं देवी लौकिकं च भावये लौकिका कर्मणो यान्ति ज्ञानेनाववर्णवान् तये सर्वं कर्म निष्कर्म यत्कृतम् इदं तु भक्तिभावेन पातते शृणुते यदि विकित्वा परतव्यं तत्सर्वं सफलं भवेत् गुरुगीतात्मकं देवी सुदतवं मयोरितां भावव्यारे विनाशार्थं स्वयमेव जपे सदा गुरुगीताक्षरेकं च मन्त्ररसामिमं जपे अन्ये च विविधा मन्त्राः फलं नान्ति षोडशीम् अनन्तफलमनोति गुरुगीता जपेन च सर्वपापप्रशमनं सर्वदारिद्र्यनाशनं कालमृत्युभयारं सर्वसङ्कटनाशनं यक्षरक्षसभूतानां चोरव्याघ्रभयापहम् महाव्यारिहरं सर्वं विभूतिसिरिदं भवेत् आत्मामोहनं वश्यं स्वयमेव जपे सदा कष्टसहने च दारिद्र्यं आशने रोगसम्भवम् दैन्यं दुःखमप्नोति कष्टे भवति निष्फलम् कृष्णजनयानसिद्धिर्मोक्षसिद्ध्याग्रचर्मणि कुशसनयानसिद्धिः सर्वसिद्धिस्तुकम्बले कुशेवा दुर्वया देवी आसने शुभ्रकम्बले उपविश ततो देवी तपेते प्राकमानसा येयं शुक्लं च संयर्तं वशिरक्तासनं प्रिये अभिचारे कृष्णवर्णं पीतवर्णं धनागमे उत्तरे शान्तिकामस्तु वशे पूर्वामुखो जपे यं प्रोक्तं पश्चिमे च धनागमात् मोहनं सर्वभूतानां बन्धमोक्षाकरं भवेत् देवराजाप्रियकरं सर्वलोकवशं भवेत् सर्वेषां स्तम्भनकरं गुणनं च विवर्धनं दुष्कर्मनाशनं चैव सुकर्मसिद्धिं भवेत् आसिद्धं सदये कार्यं नवग्रहभयापहं दुःस्वप्ननाशनं चैव सुस्वप्नफलदायकम् सर्वशान्तिकरं नित्यं तथावद्यासपूजनम् अवेदव्यं करं श्रीणां सौभाग्यदायकं सदा आयुरारोग्यमेश्वर्यं पुत्रपौत्राभवर्धनम् श्रीविरावात् जपमोक्षमवाप्नुयात् अवेदव्यं सकामात् लाभते चन्यजन्मनि सर्वदुःखं भयं विघ्नं नाशये च पारकम् सर्वबाधाप्रशमनं धर्मता काममोक्षदां यं यं चिन्तयते कामं तं तं प्राप्नोति निश्चिताम् अमितस्य कामधेनु कल्पना कल्पपारपः शब्दस्य सुरश्च ज्ञानपद्याश्न वैष्णवा श्रीवश्चासिरिदं देवी सत्यं सत्यं न संशयात् आतकाम्य जपेष्टानं कथयामि वरानने सागरे वा सरतीरे अथवारि अरालये शक्तिरेवालये गोष्ठे सर्वदेवालये शिवे अचेतदात्रिमूले वा माते वृन्दावने तथा पवित्रे निर्मले स्थाने नित्यानुष्ठानतोऽपि वा निर्विघ्नेन मौनेन तपामि तं समाचरे धूमोऽच वञ्चमूलाञ्चिके तथा सिर्यन्ते दोदरे मूले चित्तवृक्षाससानिनो गुरुपुत्रो वरमूर्खास् तस्य सिद्ध्यन्ति नान्यथा शुभकर्माणि सर्वाणि दीक्षाव्रता तपंसि च संसारमादनशर्तं भावपाशानिवृत्तये गुरुगीतं वसि स्नानं तद्भक्त्या कुरुते सदा स एव च गुरुसाक्षात् सदस ब्रह्मवित्तमात् तस्य स्थानानि सर्वाणि पवित्राणि न संशयात् सर्वश्रुत्वा पवित्रोऽसौ स्वभवाद्यत्र तिष्ठति तत्र देवगणाः सर्वे क्षेत्रे कृते वसन्ति आसनस्थशयानो वा कंसश्रेष्ठं वरानपि आश्वरुतो गजारुदा सुप्तो वा जागृतोऽपि वा शरद्याने गुरुगीता जपेन च तस्य दर्शनमात्रेण पुनर्जन्म विद्यते समुद्रे च यथा तोयं क्षीरे क्षीरं गृहे गृहां दिने कुण्डे यथाकाशात् तथा परमात्मनि तदेव ज्ञानि जीवात्मा परमात्मनि लीयते ऐक्येन रामते ज्ञाने यत्र तत्र रिवानिशाम् एवं विदो महामुक्तः सर्ववर्तते बुधा तस्य सर्वप्रयणेन भावभक्तिं करोति सर्वसन्देहरहितो मुक्तो भवति पार्वती मुक्तिद्वयं तस्य शिवाग्रे च सरस्वती अनेन प्राणिन सर्वे गुरुगीता जपेन च सर्वसिद्धिं प्राप्नुवन्ति मुक्तिं न संशयात् सत्यं सत्यं पुनः सत्यं धर्मं सत्यं मयूरितं गुरुगीता समं नास्ति सत्यं सत्यं वरानने एको देव एक धर्म एकनिष्ठा परं तपः गुरुपरतरं नान्यत् नास्ति तत्त्वं गुरुपरम् माता धन्य पिता धन्यो धन्यो वाचाकुलं तथा धन्या च वसुधा देवी गुरुभक्ति सुदुर्लभा शरीरमिन्द्रियं प्राणश्चर्तस्वजानबन्धवः माता पिता कुलं देवी संशयात् अकल्पज मनाकोट्या जपव्रता तपाक्रिया तत्सर्वं सफलं देवी गुरुसन्तोषमात्रता विद्यातपो बलेनैव मन्दभाग्याश्च ये नरा गुरुसेवां न कुर्वन्ति सत्यं सत्यं वरानने Brahma Vishnu Maheshascha Devashi Pitrakinnara Siddhacharana Yakshascha Anepi Munayojana Guru Bhava Param Tirtham Anya Tirtham Nirarthakam Sarva Tirtha Shayo Devi Arangushtam Chavartate Tapena Jaya Mamnoti Ananta Phala Mapriya Hina Karma Dyajan Sarvam Sthanani Charamani Cha Tapamina Saram Kurvan Hina Karma Phala Pradam Guru Vitam Prayaneva Sangrame Rupa Sankate Tapena Jaya Mamnoti Marane Mukti Rayakam Sarva Karma Cha Savatra Guru Putra Siddhyati Iram Rahasano Vacham Tavagre Katitam Maya Sugopyam Cha Prayanena Mamam Tvam Cha Priyatviti Swami Mukhya Ganeshari Vishnavarinam Cha Parvati Manasapina Bhaktavya Satyam Satyam Vadamyam Ativapa Kvachitaya Shraddhavati Cha Ravatarvyamiram Devi Namamasi Sada Priye Abhakte Vanchake Durte Pakane Nastike Nare Manasapina Bhaktavya Guru Gita Karachana Samsara Sagara Samudra Neka Mantram Ramadi Deva Muni Pujita Sita Mantram Daridra Daya Ramguru Rajamancham Iti Sri Skanda Purane Uttarakande Shvara Parvati Sambhate Guru Gita Samata Shri Gurudeva Charana Namastu Nityanandaya Gurave Shishya Samsara Harine Bhakta Kaya Kadehaya Namaste Chitsadatmane Nirvasanam Nirakamsham Savadosha Vivarjitam Niralambam Nirantankam Nityanandam Namamiham Nirmamam Nirankaram Samadosashmakanchanam Samaduka Sukhamadiram Avadutam Namamiyam Avinashina Mamanam Ekavignaya Tatvatam Vitaraga Bayakrodam Nityanandam Namamiyam Nam Deho Name Deho Jivanahamahamiti Eva Vignaya Santushtam Avadutam Namamiyam Samasta Kalpana Mantram Amamukta Sanatanam Iti Vignaya Santruptam Nityanandam Namamiyam Nanabhidagna Karmanam Kama Sankalpa Varjitam Eyopare Ainam Tam Avadutam Namamiyam Swabhaveneva Yo Yogi Sukhambhogam Navanshati Yadrishtalabha Santushtam Nityanandam Namamiyam Maninda Prasansabhyam Yasya Vikriyate Manam Amakriram Amanam Avadutam Namamiyam Yam Jagraravastayam Swapnavadyo Vatishtate Nishtintam Chinmayamanam Nityanandam Namamiyam Tuesham Nasti Priyam Nasti Nasti Asya Shubha Shubham Vedadhyana Nityanandam Namayam Yo hi darshanamatrena Bhavate Bhuvanatrayam Avaram Jagamatirtam Avadutam Namayam Sarva Pujam Sarapurnam Akandananda Vigraham Svaprakasham Chiranandam Nityanandam Namayam Nishkalam Nishkriyam Shantam Nirmalam Paramamritam Nishapurivasinam Avadutam Namayam Yoga Purnam Tapomurtim Prema Purnam Surarshanam Yana Purnam Kripamurtim Nityanandam Namayam Durjana Sajjana Bhuyat Sajjana Shanto Cheta Pandevyo Muktashanyan Vimochaye Swasti Prajabhyat Paripalayantam Yayena Marge Namaye O Brahmanevya Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Vakshatu Parjanya Prithvi Shashasaini Esoyam Sobaraito Brahmana Santu Nirbhaya Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukhabhag Bhavet Sarva Sarat Durgani Sarvo Bhadrani Pashyatu Sarva Kamara Vamnutu Sarva Savatranandatu Swasti Matrota Vicheno Astu Swasti Govyo Jagate Kurushevya Vishwam Sabhutam Suviratram Nastu Jogeva Drushem Asturyam Om Shanti 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 Arati Karum Sada Guru Karum Sada Guru Pyare Guru Arati Arati Karum Guru Arati Arati Karum Sada Guru Karum Sada Guru Pyare Guru Arati Arati Karum Guru Arati Arati Karum Sada Guru Pyare Guru Arati Arati Karum Sada Guru Pyare Guru Arati Arati Karum Sada Guru Pyare Guru Arati
मंगल के वास गणेश पुरी भवभारती
आरती करो गुरुभारती आरती करो सद्गुरु करो सद्गुरु प्यारे आरती आरती करो गुरुभारती
Gurnath Maharaj Ki Jai. A warm and special welcome to all of you here today at Shanti Mandir at Sunday morning Satsang, the day after a very wonderful intensive and a few days before the beginning of Navaratra. So it's a very special time and in the midst of, right, pretty much at the heart of Gurudev's stay here this time. I also want to welcome all of you I can't see, but I can kind of sense your presence here in the room. You're part of the festivities, part of the wonderful atmosphere, part of the wealth of the outcome of the presence of the Guru in our lives. And I want to welcome Gurudev and thank him for his presentation yesterday for the intensive. Gurudev talked about the qualities of the disciple, the wealth of the disciple from the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, divine qualities. And when we look at that list, and Gurudev's left the board there, so I'm presuming he may refer to it again today. And honestly, looking at that list this morning, I thought, I'm almost a big goose egg. Seriously, I mean, realistically, because that goose egg means 0. Maybe a few of them friendly. I could be friendly. Self-controlled, always self-controlled, not. Let's see, steadfast in meditation. Not too bad there. But you can go down that list and you'll see the list. You don't have it on your screen. Pardon me. You out there in the streaming land don't have this list in front of you, but you can grab your Bhagavad Gita and look at the 12th chapter and see these qualities. And so this is the crux of sadhana. And in looking at this list, I personally am quite humbled. I mean, at the end of it, it says, I'm having a hard time reading it here in the light, but devotion, firmness and devotion. Not too bad. Contentment, silence. Can sometimes be quite silent. And so the purpose of my talk here is to welcome you. That's the main thing, to welcome you. And the subject of my little discourse is the outcome, the results of being with the Guru. And you know, when you're meant to speak on something like this, it's quite a sadhana in itself, just for the couple of days that you have notice to do it. And it's a wonderful exploration about the realistic result, in this case, of being in the Guru's company. I mean, it's life-changing, touch you the way the Guru does, and we all know that. So the most important thing I'd say from my own personal experience is the love that I feel, the silence that I'm sometimes able to attain, and I'd say most importantly, the desire to do sadhana. And in looking at this list here, you see that we're not always even-minded in pleasure and pain. We're not always free of attachment. We're not always free of hatred or anger. We're not steady. We don't have firm indecision. Not too good about that. And we can all look at that and say, yeah, this is not easy. This is why we're here on the planet, to work this out. And one of the best things about being in the company of the Guru is that whether the Guru is in the physical body or not, the Guru is there for you. And he's both the goal and the means. So the Guru is always pointing these things out to us. The world is pointing these out to us. And recently I read Baba telling a questioner, don't think the Guru is just his physical body. The Guru is your own self. The Guru is a Shakti. And he said, in fact, the world is the Guru. So the Guru is always teaching us. And we can go into deep meditation, which is one of the greatest gifts of the Guru. as Gurudev said yesterday, he said, I enjoy poking people and seeing their reaction. It's just see how firm you are in your yoga, in your sadhana. Quite a while back, in the 90s, Jackie is over here, my lovely wife. Yesterday I asked Jackie, what would you say the result of being with the Guru is? And she said, a sense of purpose. I thought, well, that's pretty good. A sense of purpose. And the purpose is to know the self, to know your own divinity, to have that known to you. So we ran a center before we came here in Berkeley, California, and once a year, once every 2 years, Gurudev would come, and we would organize some programs. And this one was in San Francisco, and we were there, and we had lovely meditation. Gurudev gave a talk, and we were in a lovely ecstatic state, walking to our car, which was a truck, and as I was a carpenter. So we'd parked the truck on a street, and it so happened we happened to, San Francisco is very strict about their parking regulations, so it was parked just a little bit on the red. It was a residential, so just slightly on that red, but certainly not blocking that person's driveway. Anyway, we came and we began looking for our car. And I'm sure I parked it here. Said, no, you didn't park it there. You parked it on the next block. Don't you remember where you parked it? And this whole search for the car. I know you've all been there. So we're looking for this car, and I said, gee, could it have been towed away? I think it was on this block. I think it was right here. She was more sure than I was where it was, but eventually realized the car had been towed away. And the next day we got the car back, and through a lot of hassle and money, we got back to the house, and Gurudev asked Jackie, how did Dana react? Wouldn't that be the case? Like the Guru wants to know, how are you reacting in pleasure or pain? Are you even-minded or not? And Jackie said something like, it was okay. So this is the way it is. We're tested all the time. And the idea is to continue taking refuge, is continue to go within. Patanjali, along with what Larry astutely pointed out yesterday, the beginning of the book is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. The modifications of the mind is yoga. Tada drishtu sarupe avastanam. In that state of stillness, the seer rests in his own essential nature. And the second part, so that's the essence of yoga, the very beginning. The second part refers to this process about how to attain all of this, how to help the Guru remove the darkness in the mind. So it is abhyasa vairagya tan nirodha. Through abhyasa, through practice, which would be focusing on the goal, and vairagya, detachment, even-mindedness. So this detachment is really important. So again and again, we wake up, we start a new day, we begin with our mantras, we focus and meditate on the self, and we go through our whole process, and we hold to the feet of the Guru. The Guru Gita says, just by remembering the Guru alone, knowledge arises on its own. Just by merely by remembering the Guru. So we can remember the Guru, remember meeting Baba, some scene where we are standing or sitting in Baba's presence or in Gurudev's presence, and knowledge will arise. And what kind of knowledge is that? The knowledge of I am that. I am the self. So again and again we do this, and this is what Jnaneshwar Maharaj encourages us to do. In fact, he said, yoga is difficult, even if you try. And he said, I'm going to give you a great secret. Wherever the mind roams, bring the Guru's feet there, and the mind will be still. He said, this is a secret I'm giving you. Take the mind there. So he said, every day, begin to relish the joy contained in God's name. Arambi avadi adare ale nam. Arambi avadi adare ale nam. Tene sakala siddhi jagi zare purnakam. Jene sakala siddhi jagi zare purnakam. Rama Krishna Govinda, Govinda Gopala. Rama Krishna Govinda, Govinda Gopala. Tu Maya Mauli, Jivi Jivala. Tu Maya Mauli, Jivi Jivala. Arambi Avadi Adade Ade Ram. In the beginning, in the morning, begin each day relishing the joy contained in God's name. The source of all power is the mantra that's given by the Guru. The key to the fulfillment of all desires, Ramakrishna Govinda. You are my mother. The Guru is the mother, my life itself. Through repetition of your name, all my doubts have been destroyed. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, O Shri Vitala. So I'm sure Gurudev has some. He doesn't bring so many books this today. He had a whole pile yesterday, but I'm sure he has some words for us now. So let's welcome Gurudev. Sagurnath Maharaj Ki Jai.
On, what is it? The effect of the Guru's company. And the reason for that, as most of you were with us yesterday, and those of us associated over the years, is because we celebrate the 39th Mahasamadhi or Punyatithi of Baba Muktananda. It was on the 2nd of October in the year 1982 when he left his physical form. And here we are, 39 years later, tugging away. And if Dana is a goose egg, because I heard that term first time, we are those little eggs then, you know. Devyani was showing us the other day in front of Srinivas a small nest, right, in the bush, out of which birds came. She was asking Larry and I yesterday, do you get nervous when you speak? And I think I'm nervous right now. Because now Dana has told me I don't have books, so now I'm like, oh my God. I had books yesterday because there were all these things, and I thought, I had my Sanskrit book, which is called Padached Anvaya. They're broken up word by word, like this Shri Guru Gita is. So if in case the mind gets stuck somewhere on what something means, or if somebody in the audience sometimes challenges you, do you really think it means that? Then you have the book to go to. Well, I don't know if I know, but the book knows. You know? So you have to come prepared. And I had Swami Chinmayananda, whose contemporary thought and sense of humor I love. Then I had, like he just sang, Jnaneshwar, Jnaneshwari, very poetic and very descriptive. So I was covered on all grounds to speak for at least an hour. But I'd already told Devyani when I was ready on Friday that I think I'm going to need both sessions. And she's like, okay, you take what you want. I was like, oh, thank you so much. As if either one of us had a choice. So in the morning when I looked at the clock, it had been over an hour, and I think I'd only come up to 16. And so as we come in the afternoon, she goes, okay, how many more? I said, well, it's 35 minus 16. So I think that's about 19. So if 16 took over an hour, so then 19 is going to take longer. But I glazed over because most of my audience was asleep. Because it was 2:30 in the afternoon. After lunch, some carbs. It's like, oh God, wasn't the morning enough? And if we have goose eggs in our audience, then we definitely have an issue because where do I even begin? And I was thinking, because yesterday I shared that, when you're walking about, you just have verses, sutras, thoughts, and when you find yourself in a tricky position, I sang one, I'll sing a different one to the yes, mano vijate loko. That it should be so engrossed and immersed. And I thought, somebody in my audience would say, that's Sanskrit, or it's Hindi, or it's Marathi. How do I know? And I shared with you yesterday to make index cards of these things. So I remember when we were building Srinivas, I was moving that truck that was, and because it was in the way, as it was that day in San Francisco. Except this time I was not towing, I was just moving it out of the way so the contractor could deliver whatever was being delivered. We know each other long enough that we can get away with this sense of humor, okay? And I got into the truck, and I love driving, and I love driving different kinds of vehicles, and I love to get into a vehicle, and most people are like, okay, first tell me where do I put the key, which you don't have to anymore nowadays, and what do I do? And this is what I don't understand with people. If you drive, you drive. What do you mean, what do I do? To me, it's the most dumb, stupid question to ask. You take the key, you stick it in, turn it on, and if it's manual, sure, it's a problem. But if it's automatic, it's nothing to do. But it's so obvious, P, R, N, D, 2, 1. So anyway, the point I want to make is this was Dana's truck, and at that time we were learning. Umesh and Chitra were teaching them, so Dana had the index card of, I don't remember which abhanga it was, or which song it was, which part of the song it was, but there it was. And for a moment, I was stunned, because I thought, what a crazy Westerner, driving his truck from New Paltz to here with Jnaneshwar sitting. So I'm wondering, is he looking at the road driving, or is he looking at the index card driving? But I thought, how amazing. If one wishes, wants, wills, would like, it's possible. We'll get to that a little bit. And so all of this that we look at, we just left it up because we thought it's Sunday, people will come and in case want to know what did we do yesterday, well, this is what we did yesterday. And why not? And we are not the first ones in this. There have been many before us. There are many of us now. And there will be many after us. If anything, I would say we need to increase our numbers. In this world, upon this earth, there needs to be more of us thinking this way, feeling this way, creating this vibration. It's so easy to fall by the wayside. Just like you fall asleep at the wheel and then next thing you know, the car is, in the ditch, turned over a few times, and your head is in the ground and your feet is up in the sky. And you wonder, how did this happen? Happens to the best of us. But what here, the firmness in decision. Paula was visiting us after 36 plus years, I think, because we all lived together for the first 3 years after Baba Muktananda took Samadhi, 83, 84, 85. And then a volcano erupted, and lava blew, and we all fell upon different parts of the earth. And so as time has gone along and the lava has become molten and people have picked us up and put us back together. And here we are, in person, online. So I think she's just amazed to see us all, that here we are. As somebody who visited us in Pine Bush one day said, "You still sing Jota Se Jota?" Because it was, I think, the year, 95, 96. And I said, well, we don't know anything better. This is what we know. This is what we learned. This is the school we went to. And they say, you got to move on. I said, yes, we've moved on. Definitely have moved on. But we've carried the ingredients along with us. We've not thrown the baby out with the bath water. We've kept the baby with us. The baby is the grace. The baby is the seed. The baby is that blessing. In Baba Muktananda, when you read him, in different places he says, I need an army of lovers. I need an army of lovers. I want to see this world full of saints. And you might think he's stretching the thought or overthinking. But if those of us who lived with him and all of the wings along could somehow thrust ourselves. I hope you understand what all I'm saying, because I'm a little, what am I? Nervous. Let me see. If I had my Fitbit, you would know my pulse. I don't have one, and I don't want one. I think I mentioned in that moment that the presence of the Guru is very much alive. The nervousness is not a wrong thing, but to feel the presence of the Guru and to think that there he is sitting with you, listening. We sing the verse every Monday here, Namah Shivaya Sataram Panchakritya Vidayani Chidananda Ghanaswatma Paramarthava Bhasine. I offer salutations to Shiva, who's constantly performing the 5 functions of creation, sustenance, dissolution, concealment, grace, bestowal. And the same verse comes here in verse 94 of the Shri Guru Gita. Yasmin sushti sthiti dvamsa nigraha anugrahatmakam krityam panchavidam shashwada bhasati tam namamyaham. The scriptures talk about the mass of consciousness, which is what we all are. We are all a mass of consciousness. And in that mass of consciousness, that divinity, I would say, explodes. And what happens to each one of us, we become small. We become petty. We become limited. We make ourselves that way. Consciousness does not make us that way. We make ourselves that way. And so Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, become big. And he's not the first time he's saying this in the 12th chapter. He talks about something like this in the 2nd chapter. He talks like this in the 16th chapter. In the 2nd chapter he says, Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhamshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. The mind gets caught. The mind gets stuck. It gets stuck upon a sense pleasure, a sense object. And then, because we are obsessed, we acquire it. It comes our way. And then we begin to have fun. We begin to enjoy it. It's mine. And one day, it's towed away. It breaks because it's an egg. Or we lose it. So what happens? We get angry. We get frustrated. We get upset. And when all of that happens, the mind is bewildered. And when the mind is no longer in control, we forget to be wise. We forget to be, a person of discrimination. We forget the good, normal human being that I normally am when I am not bewildered. And so what happens? My whole mind goes for a toss. My buddhi goes for a toss. My intelligence goes for a toss. And then we say, normally I'm not like this. And I think normally you are like that. It is the other times you are putting on a show, trying to tell us, this is how I am. No, this is not how you are. This is how you are. Which is now showing up because all the guards are off. And that's why when I said yesterday, probe or prick, that's when you really find out how much in meditation, how much japa, how much knowledge, how much wisdom is in you. Because what we think is that spacing out means, and I think I can't say the words. And I'm not nervous. I'm warmed up now, I'm sweating. So, Krishna says, Buddhi nashat pranashyati. You are finished. Because no longer is this working, no longer is this thinking. And so when I think of this 39 years after the physical form of Baba Muktananda, and I think of all of the situations that we found ourselves in, I was thinking, Devyanis met Baba Muktananda, I think in 1978, in December in Oakland. She claims to have met me in 1979. I claim to have met her in 1980. Because that's when I remember her from. Summer of 1980 here in South Fallbrook. She remembers the summer of 79. And then she joined the tour, Baba Muktananda, in 1980 at all of 16, I would say. Right? That's how it would be. She just turned 16. She got out of high school. As somebody said the other day, I dropped out of high school and dropped into the Guru. I got sannyas in November of 1980. We were in Santa Monica. And life changed for her, life changed for me. And for the past 43 years, for those who think you cannot make it together, I have my struggles. I'm sure she has hers. And here we are, on the 3rd of October, 2021, still laughing, still having a good time, still nervous, as if it's our first date. And that's why I don't have books. The scriptures tell us if you read the Guru Gita and its meaning and what all it reminds us again and again and again, is to focus upon the Guru. Now, I consider myself fortunate to have been born into this path. And I proudly say sometimes the Guru was waiting for me. At least my mother said that. Because I'm the third child, and he wanted that I be the second child. But I couldn't be the second child, so I am the third child. I have my own reasons for that. So we celebrate this day to celebrate that presence. And the comment from Paula, which she made casually yesterday to Devyani, was that you are one of the young ones, or the only young one who's still at it, playing the harmonium, singing, chanting. My best harmonium player. So when I get lost, like I did this morning when we began Arati Karu, because my mind had a million thoughts going, because the hall was filling up. Should we open the door? Should we bring a dari? Should we bring more chairs? And she looked at me like, what are you doing? So I just realized, okay, just sing, because it's going to take a few moments to get the beat back. And for all of you sitting here, beat is important. And I have said this, and I'll say this again, timing is important. We have Prabodha here with us. He plays tennis. He loves his, he's just won.
National tournaments.
Not yet, right? He's playing in the 65 plus national tournament in Albany last week, and he will go to Arizona to play in the all countrywide 65 plus people. I was thinking, for those of you who watch tennis, who watch baseball, who watch football, and any other game, the most simple one is badminton, because that has the lightest shuttlecock, and a little bit of wind disturbs the shuttlecock. Or Dhavalbhai, who was a ping pong champion at one time, right? Table tennis. Timing is important. Because if your racket is early or late, you can't say the ball came too soon. You can't say the shuttlecock was in the wrong place. So all who sing here, who clap here, you play your cymbals, don't just think, It doesn't matter. It matters. Because when you're a little bit early, you've thrown us off. You're a little bit late, you've thrown us off. When you're on beat, we love you. And that's true about life. All those who cook, you put something on the stove and you're standing there. It's not boiling, it's not cooking, nothing's happening. So you just think, I'll just go get that and come back. And just in that very second, it boils over. Friday, Prabhu's dal was a little bit smoked. Is how we call it when the cook in India does that. So we said, what happened, Prabhu? What did he say? I forget the reason he said. He gave a reason. So I told him, no, I think Poonam's husband Vijay was visiting. So I think you were yakking away. He said, no. He said, it's too late. I remember that with Baba Muktananda, we were in Melbourne, Australia. I was still raw, less than a goose egg. I lived with him for 15 plus years, but it was my first time in the frying pan, I would say. Because we were only 6 Indians, including Baba. And he loved cooking. For those who think the Guru gives workshops and retreats, no. You have to live with the Guru, and the Guru always walks with a stick. Earlier days, physical, latter days, okay. So it was just a day or two before my birthday in the month of October, which would be about now. And he decided to make dosas. And he thought, okay, because my father ran a restaurant and my mother was an excellent cook, I must also know what to do. Well, I think I do, or I think I did, but not in the presence of a fire, ball of fire. And he put some oil in the pan and he told me, look, when it's hot, tell me. So I said, okay. Normally I know that the way you tell it's hot, you put a little bit of water, but he didn't tell me to do that. And with Baba, you couldn't do what he didn't tell you, and you couldn't be over smart. You just had to be present in the moment. And when I thought it was hot, I told him it's hot, and he put his cumin in, and it burnt. So he had a spatula in his hand, he hit me on the head, said, get out, what use are you? And Baba loved doing this, because he knew my parents, he knew my uncles, he knew my, he said, oh, all of you are useless. So anyway, I went back to my room, I got my books out, and I think I had my class with Kripananda, so I just said, okay, time for the English class. And she was a stickler. Baba had told her 2 hours, so no matter which way the 2 hours began, it was 2 hours. So if I'm good at English today, I'm grateful to her for that. And so I don't know, maybe a couple of days went by and Baba said, come to the kitchen today. And I'm like, no way, no way. It's like that wound was still raw, It's like the ego was still, there was, was that free from egoism? No way. Free from attachment? No way. All my friends, everybody's looking, and people in the ashram loved, oh, Baba was so mean to you, as if you're going to be loving, but, So I thought, okay. One thing I learned being with Baba Muktananda is you had to be present in the moment. You could not allow yourself to be distracted anywhere else. To him, present in the moment. And so he recreated the same scene. Now, over the years I learned with Baba, it's not that he remembered that this is what you had done. It's just that Chidananda Ghanaswatma. He represented that mass of consciousness. He represented that mass of consciousness. That when you represent that mass of consciousness, the mass of consciousness just makes sure that everything is in the right place at the right time. So I find myself in front of the stove with the pan, with the oil, and he says, just tell me when it's hot. And I'm like, oh God. Don't want a repeat. I called him, he put the cumin in, he stirred it, he did all his things. One thing, living with Baba Muktananda, you never found out when you were right. But you always found out when you were wrong. And the only thing I can say to you logical, rational people is no news is good news. If he didn't say anything to you or didn't make any comments, that means everything was just right. We always look for appreciation, we look for gratitude. And the Guru teaches you to rise above here. We had yesterday, Tulya Ninda Stutiramoni Santushto Yena Kenachit Aniketa Stiramati Bhaktiman Me Priyo Nara. You learn to rise above praise, you learn to rise above blame. You learn just to be quiet whenever somebody says good things, bad things, doesn't matter. Because as I said yesterday, somebody says you're a donkey, you can just look at yourself and say, no, I think I was a human being and I'm still a human being. And santushto yena kenachit, just content no matter what. Aniketa stiramatira. You just come to that place of detachment where you're just steady. Bhaktiman me priyona. Such a devotee is dear to me. So, over time, I lived with him that part of 78, 79, 80, 81, till he left his body in 82. And they were intensely joyous years. Larry talked about our train ride we took from Bombay to Madras, or Mumbai to Chennai now, which I think was about 30 or 36 hours, and we played a lot of Uno, a lot of blackjack. I don't know what else. I was young, they were my seniors. I just provided them the entertainment, and they allowed me to join them. I got good at it. I forgot it now, but back then I got good at it. With lots of snacks, with a lot of fun. With a lot of fun, traveling, a lot of fun, having satsang, a lot of fun with all of the devotees, and everybody, I think most importantly, gave a lot of love. Because we came from the Guru. So to them, we were not just who we thought we were. To them, we were the Guru, because we were representing the Guru. So when we traveled in 2007 and 8, celebrating Baba Muktananda's 100th birthday, I told all of those who traveled with us, I said, remember, you're not just going for fun. You're not just going to a house to eat. We have to pray, we have to chant, we have to leave vibrations, uplifting, positive, Guru-like. We may not be there, or we may not imagine that we are there, but those people have invited you not just for fun, but they want that you come and uplift. So whenever we go to such a place, we must remember that. Anywhere, even if your friends invite you, don't think you're just going for a cup of tea. Don't think you're just going to go hang out. You must especially for those of us who are seekers, who are on this path, treading, walking, swimming. We must always remember that the purpose of the visit has to be uplifting. It cannot just be that I'm going, but it has to be that it will be good. And how do we begin? Baba loved the 35th Shankaracharya of Sringeri. He lived in Baba's time, born a few years after Baba, established by Adi Shankara. And we belong to the Sringeri Matha of the south. There's one in the east, there's one in the north, there's one in the west, there's one in the south. Adi Shankara, in his 32 years, very short span of life, set up that which we are following even today. So like he said, he lived in the 8th century, so 1200 plus years later. So that's the kind of life we want to live. That 1200 years later, people are still thinking, oh my God, such a person walked upon this earth. So the 35th Shankaracharya, in one of the books about him, the verse that is quoted here is, I worship him whose greatness has no limit. On hearing whose words nothing remains to be heard. On seeing whose graceful form nothing remains to be seen. On prostrating before whose feet nothing remains to be done. And on obtaining whose grace nothing remains to be attained. So when we think, whether it's Baba Muktananda or whoever it is that you relate to as the Guru, and the Guru Gita says, who is the Guru? The Guru is always absorbed in the Absolute. The Guru is always absorbed in the Absolute, and that is the Guru. So this Shankaracharya, this tradition continues, and I think the 37th or 38th young man is now placed on the seat. And he is now living with his Guru, being trained, being prepared to take on the mantle. He's already initiated, he's already sitting, but there he is, being prepared. And so, the one who's currently on the seat and who's 60 plus, shares something along the lines of what I said yesterday. Don't just think I am walking. Don't just think I'm going to sleep. And I suggested the 4th verse of the Shiva Manas Puja Atmatam Girijamati Sahachara Prana Shariram. So here, reminiscing about his time with the Guru, where the Shankaracharya lives is across the river Kaveri, and there is a bridge. So to go visit the Shankaracharya, you have to go, probably back then it was the river, and today it's a bridge. And the goddess worshipped there is Saraswati in the form of Sharada. So, he says every evening I would go sit in the Sharada temple for an hour, and then I would go and visit the Guru. So the Guru once says, you have crossed the river and come. What thoughts arose in your mind? These are beings who study the scriptures like there is nothing else. They study, I would say, letter by letter, not word by word. And so, the current Shankaracharya said, what thought I wondered, and replied, there were various objects which I saw. There were various objects which I saw. What was new? The Guru asks, what was new? The disciple says, nothing. I saw what was visible. The Guru asks, must you see whatever is in the range of your vision? Must you only see whatever is in the range of your vision? The Guru says, if the eyes are kept closed, it is not possible to walk. You must see and yet not see. You must see and you must yet not see. So the disciple says, how is that possible? Because we live in this, limited, small world. And the Guru is living in that Chidananda Ganaswatma Paramartha Vabhasini. He is in that mass of consciousness where divinity is throbbing. So in this, he quotes a verse from the 100 verses written by Adi Shankara. And they have a whole conversation on this. That aspirant for liberation who, when engaged in activities in the world, looks upon himself as a wave in the ocean that is Brahman. The Guru tells him this. What? That when we go from a seated position, and start walking, the feeling should not be we are walking and going somewhere. The feeling should not be we are walking and going somewhere. In the big ocean, the Atman, or the consciousness, a wave has risen. That wave is moving forward is the supposition. We suppose that that wave is moving forward, but there is no difference between the wave and the ocean. There is no difference between the wave and the ocean. Yet, because one walks and thus moves forward like the wave, one thinks of oneself as the wave. When the occasion to walk arises, the Guru here gives him a teaching. One should contemplate, I am a wave in the ocean of bliss. Take a moment to think. I am a wave in the ocean of bliss, in the ocean of consciousness. How divine would my activities in life have to be? How sublime, how sensitive, how subtle would my thoughts have to be to come to this realization and understand I am a wave. In the ocean of bliss, in the ocean of the Atman. The disciple says, the advice surprised me or caught me by surprise. He went on. At all times, even when you talk to someone, repeat this idea in the mind. Even when you talk to someone, repeat this idea in the mind. And with practice, one uninterruptedly carries on this repetition even while speaking. Experience confirms this. You can see this picture of him is doing his prayers but you just look at the picture. I sometimes pick the book to read. And I look at his picture and I put it down. Because I think we imagine to ourselves, I pray, I meditate, I chant, I sing. We had this yesterday, steadfast in meditation, perpetual in meditation, always in meditation. And this is what here he's advising to his disciple. Don't consider yourself a separate, because Adi Shankara says, when just sitting thinks of himself as a gem strung on the thread that is Brahman. Think of yourself as a pearl that is strung on the thread of consciousness. When experiencing sense objects through the sense organ, see all those objects as Brahman, as consciousness. When sleeping, considers himself as immersed in the ocean of lying on the bed, but you're lying there immersed in the ocean of consciousness. Spends his days in this manner is the one who is established in the indwelling self that is none other than Brahman, than the Absolute. So we begin to think to ourselves and ask ourselves, how can I, towards all beings, sarva bhuteshu, be friendly, be compassionate, not have hatred, not have attachment, not have ego, be balanced, be forgiving, be content, be steadfast, be self-controlled, have firm conviction, mind and intellect dedicated to God, not be agitated, not agitate, be free from joy, envy, fear, anxiety, free from want, desireless, pure, alert, unconcerned, untroubled, renouncing all entertaining, absence of elation, hatred, fear, desire, renunciation of karma, of the fruits of karma, even-mindedness, equanimity in honor and dishonor, equanimity in heat and cold, equal in pleasure and pain, non-attachment, equal-mindedness in praise, joy, blame, sorrow, silence, contentment, absence of attachment to things of this world, firmness in devotion. How does all this come? We just think of what Adi Shankara says here, Vantaranishto mokshuhu sakalu tanubhutam yo natyeva omayuhu. Immersed always in the experience of consciousness. So you don't have to isolate any one of these things. Which is what we tend to do. We say, okay, I'm going to work on this. For those of you who have been in satsang before, you've seen me bring a yellow sponge, a bowl of water. And you take that sponge and you dip it in water and then you squeeze it. It's wet. Now, you can have the bowl of water and you can have the sponge next to it. So for a long time, I don't know how long, we do this. We are with the Guru, we are around the Guru, we are all of that, but we are always sitting outside looking at the bowl of water. And then we complain, I am not getting wet. I am not being blessed. I don't experience the grace. Because our mind is so distracted by all of these things that take place outside of us. That we don't hear or feel and know what is going on within my own being. I shared jokingly yesterday, and I think it's true to some extent, that we always end up back at the same dining table. We always end up back with the same person. We always end up with the same conversation. We end up with the same nonsense, the same. You know what I mean by that? I'm online, so I can't say. Devyani warned me, whatever you say will be there forever. Change the conversation. Uplift yourself first. The Gita says, Uddharet atmanam atmanam natmanam avasadayet. Atmaiva yatmano bandhu atmaiva vipuratmana. I am my own friend, I am my own enemy. The ashram has nothing to do with me, or with how I feel. The world has nothing. Uplift yourself, because only you can uplift yourself. You can go bicker about everybody else, but the bickering is about yourself. At the end of the day, you have to come to that realization. I'm not complaining about anybody else, but I'm complaining about, we always hear, when you point one finger, you point three to it. Okay, I know, you'll say, I don't complain, I'm a very good person. We will do that. Okay, Dana, that was good? Okay. That is the effect of the, Guru's company. And nobody needs to tell us, nobody needs to remind us what we feel. All we have to do is go into the core of our own being and get to that truth that is within each and every one of us. Surround yourself by uplifting friends. We can have wilted flowers or we can have fresh flowers. We can have fragrant flowers or we can have stinking flowers. Choice is ours. Because in a few days, that's what's going to happen to this. The water is going to start stinking first. You're going to have to change that water. 3 days, I think. And then the whole basement stinks if you throw the... Yeah. Because the flower person decided to throw the water because it's too much. What do? Throw the stink outside. Anybody seen a stink bug? If you don't, we have plenty of them here. Squeeze it. I think you have to wash your hand all day long before the stink goes away. You catch it gently and you can let it out, it goes away, but if you squeeze it, it leaves a stink. We have a skunk that lives around our house in Srinivas. We always know when he's come by. And there's only one amongst us who loves that smell. So I begin to ask myself some questions. Why do I love the smell of the stink bug? Why do I love the smell of the skunk? Okay, everybody tells me, we are all different. Yeah, sure. Don't philosophize me. I have studied a lot of philosophy over the years. Tell me that which Adi Shankara says here, established in the indwelling self that is none other than Brahman. Let us find ourselves there. And in that experience, there's nothing but bubbling forth joy. If I prick and probe, it's not because of any other wrong reason, but it's because it's so much fun to prick and probe spiritual people. Because they have their hoopla or hype about who they think they are. And one little prick shows you what they are not. Because if they are, they will laugh with you. Because they'll realize what you are doing. They will catch on to the game. But if they are not in that experience of the consciousness of the indwelling self, why did you touch me? I was meditating. Baba used to love telling a story that the Emperor Akbar at the end of the day is in the forest, spreads his mat out, and he's beginning to pray to the Lord. And in the middle of his prayers, a young girl runs over his mat looking for her beloved husband who has not yet returned as the sun is setting. And Akbar is in his prayers, so he's very angry and disturbed that she has run over his mat. So when he's done, he shakes his mat, he's folding it, and he sees the girl coming back with her beloved. He stops her and he says, "Do you know what you did?" And she said, "No, I was busy looking for my beloved because he had left in the morning and it was getting dark. I was starting to get dark and he had not returned yet. So I was running looking for him." And the Emperor Akbar says to her, "I was on my mat praying to the Lord and you ran over my mat." The girl asks a very simple question. "Oh Emperor, I am so sorry, but I have only one question. I was only looking for my physical beloved, and I was unaware of you or the mat. And you were praying to the beloved. If you were praying to the beloved, then how did you even notice that I had stepped over your mat?" And Baba would laugh when he said this story. He said, "This is how we meditate. This is how we chant. This is how we do our practices. We think we are absorbed in the practice, but we are aware of everything that happens around us." So how do we get there? Tukaram Maharaj says, Sadguru Vachoni Sapade na soi Dharave te pai Adi Adi Apana sarike Karita tatkal Apana sarike Kariti tatkal Nahi kal vel magatyasi Nahi kal vel magatyasi Loha parisachi nasahe upama Loha parisachi nasahe upama Sadguru mahima aghadi Tukamane kaise andale he zana Tukamane kaise andale he zana Gele visrunu khariya deva Gele visrunu khariya deva. A lot of these great beings, when you read their poems and their songs, they are a matter of fact. And I was reading somebody who was comparing, I think my book yesterday on Kabir, and a couple of the Western poets. I don't have the book with me today. And how the Western poet, even if he's talking mystically, he treads carefully. Because he doesn't want to upset his audience. And you meet somebody like Kabir or Tukaram who just say it. Why I just laughed at the end, because last year when we were in Ganeshpur, we had Bhagwan Nityananda the shrine. This line came to me, Tukamane kaise andale he zana, gila visuni kharya deva. How blind are these people, Tukaram says. They have forgotten the true God. Because there was all this politics and nonsense that happens in any temple, in any organization, any place, because we get caught in such petty matters. So Tukaram says, Sadguru vachoni sapadena soi dharave te pai adi adi. There is nothing in this world that will give you rest, where you can feel at peace, where you can feel calm. As Swami Chinmayananda said yesterday, no, he by whom the world is not agitated and who cannot be agitated by the world. We have to become such a person that no matter who comes to us or we go to them, we are peaceful, so they become peaceful. So Tukaram says, grab hold, and not physically grab hold, but grab hold on to the teachings, to the truth being prescribed by such beings. Why? Because they make you like themselves in a moment. That is, if you will allow yourself to enter their bowl, enter their world, enter their viewpoint, enter their vision. If you just sit next to them, it's not going to happen. If they hit you, if they bless you, if they whatever it is that they do, each saint has his or her own way or method. It says the example of iron and a philosopher's stone. I have never seen one, but we've heard of this in the scriptures. We've heard of the wish-fulfilling tree, and we hear of this philosopher's stone that converts iron into gold. It's like the Powerball and the Mega Millions, right? Sadguru Mahima Agadi. The glory of the Guru is unfathomable. You cannot. We are celebrating the 39th Mahasamadhi of Baba Muktananda, yet when we begin to think about the effect it has had on so many individuals around the world, some who didn't even speak the language he spoke, or many who didn't even speak the language he spoke, the language they spoke was the language of the heart. So therefore, here Tukaram says, there's no way to describe that which happens or what happens when you have experienced grace in life. So therefore he says, don't be blind. See the living God around you. And that brings us here towards all beings. The Bhagavad Gita, equal in all beings, none is dear, none is hateful. And I always think, as much as it might be Krishna saying it to Arjuna about himself, it is the experience that each one of us must have in our life. That everything is equal. So this is the effect. And technically I think we'll end with Dhanya and Jyota. Schedule we have Kirtan, but I think we have a big lunch coming up. Our cook Satish has been at it yesterday with Prabal, a truckload of wood. I think when they moved the truck, because the cook was so busy he couldn't move the truck. And delicious gulab jamun by Mrs. Sharma. Gulab jamun hai na? Famous, world famous gulab jamuns of New Jersey. I know some of you might think it's deep fried, it's dipped in sugar. That's how we are too. All this emotion you experience is the deep frying by the Guru. All this sweetness is again the love of the Guru that experience. So as they give out the sheets, we'll do 10 minutes, I think, of Muktananda and Namo Nama, right? Sheets, please. We'll chant for 10 minutes to just make ourselves complete. and those online can also feel they joined us in the Kirtan. Devyani gets up to make her announcements. I just remembered as I was speaking, but I got emotional. So she shares with us that her father's mother, if I'm correct, right, used to take her to the Yogananda place in the Palisades in California. Her grandfather died at a very young age. He was a pilot for Boeing. So doing acrobatics, he had a plane crash. And so we fly safely, partly due to people like her grandfather who test these machines. But I'm sure that the loss of her husband would have created the mother or grandmother to ponder what is life. Devyani's father doesn't know this, but the grandmother took Devyani, and I don't know if Kelly was born yet, to Yogananda. So those of us who are parents or grandparents never think that any action that's good performed by us is gone to waste. And then, of course, her mother came to Baba Muktananda, and then when she joined and was going to go on tour, her father came, I remember, in summer of 81 to check who this Muktananda was. Is my daughter safe? And so I think he must have approved, because not only did he approve Baba, but he approved me also, because I've met him over the years, and we've had a lot of meals and conversations, and some of the people have been to his place during the centenary year of Baba Muktananda's 100th Mahasamadhi. Birth. 100 Mahasamadhi still to come. We celebrated the 25th year in 2007. If we celebrate Baba's 100th Mahasamadhi, God knows how old we would be. And so it reminded me of the verse here in the Gita which says, Mata dhanya pita dhanyo dhanyo vamsha kulam tataha dhanya cha vasudha devi guru bhakti sudurlabha. The mother and father of one who is devoted to the Guru are blessed. The lineage and family also are blessed, as is the earth on which the devotee treads. O Goddess, devotion to the Guru is very rare. So her sister continues, her niece continues, of course she continues. Right? Are you continuing? I think so. Just checking. Last I checked, it was. All I want to say is for each and every one of us that treads this path, never ever think less of yourself. Never ever think that, what am I doing? Whatever you are doing, and it's not only the Guru Gita, but all scriptures tell us. When we took sannyas, Baba Muktananda said, one person in a family taking sannyas liberates 7 generations. I don't even want to begin to count what that means. So, for those who tread the path of the Guru and steadfast, firm in conviction, not easy to come by, but when they do, I would say, hold on, as Tukaram says, Dharave te pahi adi adi. Hold on steadfastly. Don't allow anything, any of the nonsense that goes on outside to distract you. Stay focused, stay one-pointed, stay with it. Even if you cannot prove to the world why, even if you cannot explain to them why, even if you cannot show them why, but you know within yourself why. And so we celebrate that anniversary of Baba Muktananda, not just today, again on the night of the 19th, which is the full moon, which is the day he actually left according to the moon. And of course that day we will simply chant. We'll chant, sing our hearts out, and singing, I would tell anybody, is simply the best way, whether you listen, whether you sing. Paula said to us yesterday, you sing here a lot. Yes, we do sing here a lot, because singing is vibration, and vibration is important. So anywhere at home that you feel disturbed, yourself or by others, even though others should not disturb you, but in case they do, just put chanting on. Muktananda Baba is so much, I think about 8 to 10 GB, gigabytes, that if you put him on today, It takes 40 days to complete that whole cycle of Baba Muktananda. So 24 hours a day, he will be speaking, he will be singing, he will be chanting, and you never have to worry about what vibrations are being created, because you know, as Adi Shankara says, he is indwelling in the self, in that consciousness. So the vibration he will fill in your space is of consciousness. We have a room in Magod where we play Baba all the time. So somebody when he's new asks, what's going on? I say, it's private satsang with Muktananda. And they ask me, how do I get there? How do I go there? I say, no, you need a ticket. You know, you need to be allowed into that space. It's a room, it's a living room. Devyani has a bedroom in that space, it's a living room. And I thought, somewhere in the ashram, Baba must play all the time. So except the power goes off or the amp blows a fuse, the USB and the amp and the speakers are vibrating that consciousness. And again, I tell each and every one of you here and online, this is the only responsibility we have, is to vibrate at that level of divine consciousness. So now Devyani.
So thank you all for joining us on Baba Muktananda's 39th Mahasamadhi. And yesterday when Larry and Gurudev and I were walking out, do you ever get nervous when you stand up? I said, because for me, I said, even if it's just announcements, I said, I get very nervous. And I said, I'm really comfortable on the floor. Perfect. So just now when Gurudev continued to speak and to have to stand up here was really challenging. So, and Larry said, oh no. He said, yeah, no, I of course I still do. And I was like, oh wow. That was like surprising after how many years? And then Gurudev of his own accord said, I also get very nervous. And I said, really? I said, and then they started to express the part about it being the Shakti. So that having been said, I would also like to share one thing and also welcome, a special welcome to someone in our audience today. So that is Paula Moss, who's also known as Vimala, aka Swami Vimalananda. And for those of you who weren't around in Baba's time, Baba had this army of lovers, and they were all beacons of light that I like to think of the analogy of the lamp, and where he installed, initiated, and put these lamps all around the world. And his work grew. It grew by the second, it grew by the minute, and they dedicated and surrendered themselves completely to his meditation revolution. And that's what became Baba's legacy. And so for us, whenever it's an auspicious day like today with Baba's Mahasamadhi, to me, I feel that just the gift of her presence here is something special, and that it's Baba's prasad for us. So all of you, she's here for a few weeks. She's a Hatha Yoga teacher over in Italy and has quite a following and group over there and students. And we're going to be very fortunate to have her teaching Hatha Yoga here for the next 3 weeks in the mornings from 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. for the residents. So for those of you who can join her, and for those of you who can't, come and get to know her during her stay here for the next 3 weeks. All of these people who served Baba's mission the way they did in those days, there's a quality there, there's a presence there, and as I always say, it's worth receiving that from them. So please make sure that you offer an acknowledgement to you for carrying forth Baba's tradition with so much authenticity, and that we're all really grateful for every step that you have walked, every road that you have traveled, all of your tours, all of your efforts, and may you always consider us your army of lovers. We're there till the finish line. So, till the last breath in this lifetime. Okay, what else do I have here? So for those of you who registered for the intensive, So you'll be receiving that link tomorrow afternoon. So you can expect it late afternoon, early evening tomorrow. That will come to you in your emails. If you don't receive it by 6 p.m., let us know. Otherwise, if everyone can just be patient, there's a process to it, but it will come tomorrow afternoon. That link is valid until October 17th, so that gives everybody 2 weekends to watch the entire, that you want to watch again, you have the time to do that. The next Global Intensive with Gurudev will be on January 1. It's a Saturday this year. January 1st is Saturday, 2022. So it will come to all of you for the YouTube links on January 3rd. Okay, so maybe everybody mark your calendars. And here today we'll be having our Bandara that's offered by Satish and Nisha Bardwaj and the entire Bardwaj family and community, Parivar, over in Maryland. So the speciality of one of the dishes today is called Shahi Paneer, and they actually made it on the traditional fire outside. So it's going to be quite tasty. There's enough for everyone. It's always abundant. So, excuse me? It's gluten-free? Okay, and it's gluten-free? I don't know. I would think so. I would think there's no grain or, yeah. I think we're good. But there's a lovely feast ahead, so everybody please enjoy it. And also just a quick bird's eye view of what's coming up. So we have the Navaratra festivities, which will start on Wednesday. And as we all know, that's the beautiful 9-day worship of the goddess. So this whole room here will be transported into her presence, and it'll all be on that wall over there. And for all of us who are familiar with that, between all of the chanting of the Chandipat, the evening Lalita, the beauty of the whole celebration, the fruit, the flowers, the decorations, the mandalas, the rice offerings, the bells ringing, the arati being waved all the time, all of the beautiful devotional aratis. It's an occasion and a celebration not to be missed. Even if you don't understand it all, even if you just simply come and sit in that presence, it all happens within. So really try not to miss that. We'll start on October 6th, which is also Gurudev's birthday. So we'll be having a special feast every single day of the Navaratra, but we'll begin that one on October 6th with the installation ceremonies. The schedules should have come to everybody by email. They'll continue to come out for the next few days. And there's ones that like this that are posted around the ashram through the 14th. Then, as Gurudev mentioned, on October 19th, we'll have Baba's Lunar Mahasamadhi in the evening. So that'll be 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., followed by dinner prasad. And then Gurudev will be traveling to Virginia October 23rd through the 25th. November 15th through the 18th is the Sattvic cooking class. Many people have been asking about that, so we will have it. It will be in November, just prior to the last intensive with Gurudev here at Walden. So that intensive is on November 20th. The topic for that intensive is balancing modern and traditional values. And his farewell program is November 28th. So make sure that you have the new date. And everybody, please make sure to mark your calendars and join us for all of those celebrations, darshans, and events. So I think with that, we're good. And we'll conclude with darshan and then followed by lunch prasad. And again, just keeping in mind our COVID protocols, everyone please continue to keep your masks on indoors. And we have the courtyard, which is all set up so people can also eat out here as well. We have the pavilion, the dining room, and also the outdoor seating on the deck. So enjoy your lunch prasad, and we'll see you all very soon. Om Namah Chandikaye. Sadgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai.
Guru, Govind Diyo सतगुरु दीन दयाल है, दया करो मोहिया, कोट जन्म का पंथ था, पद में पहुंचा। कबीरा